Hello, soap makers. I thought I'd go make a video on what they don't exactly teach you in making soap. They don't teach you all the favorites. I mean, not all the favorites, but they don't teach you the mistakes. And I'm going to show you some mistakes. One of the main mistakes is soda ash. But I'm going to start off with a lie calculator, because lie calculators, they don't exactly teach you this stuff. As you can see, this is my favorite lie calculator. This one right here. I like it because it doesn't have any ads, and it doesn't mess me up while I'm scrolling through here checking to see if my calculations are right. There's a couple of objections I have to these. As you can see, here's one right here and this one right here. This is soap calc. This is the exact same thing. In fact, I imagine the programmers, it was the exact same programmers. Whoever is keeping this one up has a couple of more oils, but I don't exactly like it because these ads mess up my computer. Oh, see there. What is that? That's what I'm talking about. I didn't even touch that. I just hovered over it. See, I don't like that. That's not for me. But I'm going to start off with a lie calculator, and I'm going to tell you how these things do not teach you anything. There is one thing that I like, and that is the hardness and cleansing, and that I like. I don't agree with a couple of them numbers, but just bear with me. You'll see what I mean. You'll see how these things really don't teach you. And if you, how do I say this? If you are not careful with what you've learned and you try to tell other people, you will get ostracized and banned. Let me show you an example here. I was a member of Soap Making Forum. I actually like it. Since I am a programmer myself, I actually appreciate their programming, and I can see the hard work they put in it. But it is their control of information, and that is through their moderators, and that's through certain moderators. You see this? Your IP address has been banned. Yep, folks, that's right. I am banned. I was warned and threatened, and I was told if I didn't stop with my thread, that my thread was going to be shut down. And I was only talking about what I am fixing to talk about now. Well, things escalated from there, and it was during Christmas time. So I thought I'd make a naughty or nice list. Well, the people on the naughty list did not like... No, wait a minute. Let me correct that. A few certain people, which I didn't know which kind of people I was dealing with, got their panties up in an uproar and exaggerated and did not like to be on the naughty list. I plainly said at the very beginning of the naughty or nice list that it was an exaggeration and it is not meant to reflect their personalities or their behavior. It was only meant to realize that your comments also hurt other people. They can be quite rude when they don't agree with you. One person in particular, and if you're a member of this website, it will not take you very long to figure out who she is. If she doesn't answer your question, then you will be referred to her to answer your question. If things don't go her way, she would like to flash her FBI badge. And if your FBI badge is bigger than hers, then she goes on about her way. But if you don't have an FBI badge that is bigger, she will warn you and threaten to shut you down. And this is exactly what has happened. So, if you're interested in what I have to say, then stay tuned. If you're not interested in what I have to say, then go on and watch another video, because I'm not interested in making money on this video, so I'm not here to please anybody. I'm here to help newcomers and provide a new way of thinking. So if you'd like to hear me out, then stay. Here's another website that I'm on. I do like this website. It is Teach Soap. These people don't judge. But however, I wish they would hire somebody like me to fix their website. Let's go to cold process soap. See all this? No, I don't like that. When you click on one, incidentally, here's one that I wrote. Soap Floats by I Want an Apple. Let's go click on it. See all this stuff right here? It needs to be fixed. And there's not a whole lot of traffic. There's not a whole lot of traffic probably because you can't seem to submit anything anymore. So this is a good website, good people, because they don't judge what you say. And they don't warn you and they don't threaten you. They just have website problems. Anyway, let's get back to the lie calculator and what they don't teach you. If it was up to me, I would be using a simple JavaScript function called onChange. onChange would make all the difference. But stick with me, you'll see what I mean sooner or later. Let's start off with a recipe I like to use. I'm just going to put anything in there for right now. Say 16 ounces. Let's go with 38%. I'll come back to 38% as of water. Lye concentration. I have no idea what that is. I don't use it. I sometimes use the water and lye ratio, but that's only when I know what I'm doing when I'm comparing it with another one. So let's go with 38% right now. 5% super fat. I'm going to get back to that. That's very important. People say that is, that is excess oil and that's moisturizing. Yeah, that's about as moisturizing as pouring straight oil onto your skin. Well, that might be another video. I have proof on that. Right now we'll just go to 0.9 ounces per pound. That's something popular with me. And let's do apricot kernel. Apricot kernel, I love this oil. Let's do argan oil simply because they don't have the oil that I use and it's similar to what I have. So we'll go to argan oil and coconut oil, and we'll put in a little, let's see, bear with me, y'all, just bear with me. This is going to take some time to spit out, but y'all will soon see what I'm talking about. Palm kernel, oil flakes, I like to add those two together. A lot of people don't, maybe, I don't know. Okay, and a little bit of castor oil. Castor, where's castor? Castor oil, right there. Did I forget anything? Alright, I'm going to start off with 62. I believe this is my recipe. Argan oil, 10%. Coconut oil, 8%. Tab. Another 8%. I don't like to use a lot of hard oils. Castor oil, I'm going to go over 10%. This is another subject. touchy subject. A lot of people don't like to use a lot of castor oil because they say it makes their hands sticky and it just doesn't make soft soap. That's another subject, another video. I love it. It makes a lot of bubbles. I can also control those bubbles by the amount of argan oil and other oils that I use. It can turn it creamy or it can make it bubbly, whatever. It does not make your hands sticky. Although I wouldn't use no more than 10%. Alright, let's calculate the recipe. Oh, just by adding 2%. What did I forget? 62, 10, 8, 8. Oh. Okay, let's go to this one. 64%. Alright. Now we'll go to multiple tabs. So we don't really need multiple tabs. Okay, this is going to be my recipe. A lot of you might not like it. Cleansing is only 10. Conditioning is 80. Bam! 80. I've learned to love conditioning. Let me tell you a little bit about conditioning. I used to try to get my cleansing number up to about 25. 25. Maybe even 28. Because they always said, you know, you wash your hands and the soap turns off and it goes away, and what does it do to your skin? Well, I kind of differ from that. It does a lot to your skin even after you wash it off. If your cleansing number is too high, you tend to feel the ridges in your fingertips. If you rub your hands together, they will not be smooth. Your skin won't feel smooth. You'll feel the fingertips and the ridges in your hands. I don't like that. Conditioning, however, look at that number, 80. It makes your hands feel smooth, creamy. Your face feels smooth and creamy. One thing I learned off of soap making forum is I traded soaps with a woman from Iowa. I think her name was Penelope, but I know for sure she was from Iowa. She proved a point to me. Lower the cleansing and make the conditioning higher. Awesome point. One of the best points I've learned while I was on that website. She did a very good job. I liked her soap. I even made her recipe. The only difference with her recipe and my recipe, it was the same percentages, is that she used more water than I used in mine. Other than that, it's the exact same recipe. That is a very good point, and that is something I'm going to get right back to, is that more water. But for right now, all I want to say is that while her soap was good, it did not quite last as long as mine, simply because of the water. I like the soap. Great soap. Although Penelope from Iowa or whatever your name was, I still haven't tried the palm kernel salt bars or whatever it was. I still have it, and thank you. I'm going to try it. But I love this recipe you sent me, and I've since revised it with this recipe, and it works out very well. Anyway, if you guys want to try it, try it. It's great. Okay, so what was I saying? Conditioning. Alright, so you see all the stuff here. You see these things. You see the grams. You see the ounces. You see the fragrance rate. You can even print it out. And one thing I love is the graph. Where is the graph? They have a graph. There we go. I love the graph. If I could reproduce this graph, I would not. I can reproduce the graph, as a matter of fact. I just don't know where they get the information from. Anyway, I'm going to get back to that. This is the only reason why I use like calculators when I do a new recipe, is because of this graph. The only reason. The reasons why I don't like to use it is because, okay, so I have all the answers. But what did I learn? Did I learn anything? I learned nothing. If I raise the water, what does it do to the oil? If I lessen the oil, what does it do to my cost? If I raise the oil, what does it do to my cost? I really learned nothing other than the answers. I don't know how much soap is in my bar. For instance, let's see. Where is that part? Water as percent of oil weight. Oh, remember that. That's 38%. I'm going to get back to that. I just recently made a bar that water was only 16%. This is 38%. Wow, it's a lot of water. That's going to evaporate. It's not going to turn into soap. Your soap's not going to last as long. Period. 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 Water lye ratio. 2.7? Holy crap. Alright, you see that number right there? 2.7. That means that's 2.7 times your lye. Where's the lye? Yeah. 2.7 times that number right there is how much you have in water. You only need the least amount is 2.192 ounces of water. Hold on, I'll get back to that why I'm stressing water. And it's just one answer among many things, but the relationship between water, oil, and lye is very important. In programming, I may know how to move the furniture, but you know something, I'm a terrible designer. And that goes for the same with soap. I'm a terrible designer. I'm concentrating on the quality of the soap. How long is it going to last? You can't wash your body with cupcakes. Okay, well, now I'm going to get that. Alright. This did not teach you anything. So, let me show you what does teach you something. Recipes. This is something I made. I learned quite a lot. And it also teaches a lot the more you use it. This is about the same recipe. It's got the 50-50 premix. That's if you use 50-50 premix lye and water. And it's also got your lye, straight lye, your water amount that you're going to use. And one thing that I like is this number right here. See this number right here? It's 408 parts per thousand. You can only go as high as 500. Okay? 500 parts per thousand. The whole recipe needs to be 1,000. But 500 parts of that, out of that 1,000, is the water. That's the least amount of water that you can use. This particular recipe is 408 parts per thousand, which is pretty close. I mean, it's only 1.45 times, see that number right there? 1.45 times the amount. The other number was 2.7, let's change it. 2.7. See that? 270 parts per thousand. Out of a bar, it's going to have the most soap at 500. This is only 270 now. A lot of that soap's going to evaporate. It's going to shrink. It's not going to last as long. It's not going to be as strong. Let's get to the super fat. No, I'll save that super fat for another video. Alright, you see that number right there? Like I said, that's basically how much soap is in your bar. That really represents your lye and water ratio. But like I said, water doesn't turn into soap. It's going to evaporate. See that? See this right here? It's got 72.97% water, only 27% lye. Really? What happens if we change this to 1, which is 1 times? Bam! All of a sudden this disappears. I don't need to add any extra water. It's 50-50. Now there's extra water in it. I mean less water in it and more lye. This particular recipe I use Santal 26 Labobo. I've got other stuff. I got almond oil, sandalwood, cherry, all that stuff. Let me go ahead and leave it right there. Okay. This is a recipe I like using, and it made me, wait, God bless it, now I gotta repeat what I just did. And hold on, y'all bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. I'm gonna get to my point in a minute. Santal, alright. What was the water in lye? It's 1.1. 1.1. That was 0.9. The oil amount was 35.75. 35.75. That's how much it cost me. Okay, so that super fat was super fat. What did I fat? Oh, 1%. I'm going to get back and show you something. See that 1%? I only super fatted it 1%. That's right, 1%. I'm going to show you the result. Okay, 1%. This is my recipe. This is the one I did. By the way, it did create this size bar. I cut it at 9 bars. So this is the size bar I have. Right, currently, let me show you the weight loss so far. Weight loss of the Labobo. Let's see. Oh, I haven't made this useful yet, but let me tell you. Alright, G33. Okay, this is only in 4 days. It's done lost 2 grams at a half a gram a day. So already it's done lost. Oh, this is for another bar. Another bar I made was this one. This is what all this is for. I was trying to figure out when this bar is going to be ready. In 27 days it lost 10 grams. It averaged 0.37 grams a day in losing. I estimate it's going to finally be ready April the 8th. Well, it's ready now, but I'm thinking it's going to lose 6% more water, because the whole amount of water for that recipe that I used was 17%. Remember, on this was 17% water. Now remember on this one, what did I say the percentage water was? This is 38% water. How long is this going to take? This bar is going to shrink. And there's drawbacks to having a lot more water. But you have to do certain things to keep those drawbacks from happening. Let me show you what I'm talking about. First, I'm going to, oh wait a minute, I need to read you this. Hold on. This is something I wrote that in fact I was writing it the day I got banned from the website. which the people at work still bother me about. Alright, I'm going to read it to you. To understand about water, you got to understand about how water works and what's going to happen if you have excess water. To understand it, you have to understand surface tension and some water absorption properties. Some of these things I mixed together. I didn't exactly make up my own word, but I combined things because it works the same way. And I'm going to use concrete later on to compare to soap. I wrote an article about that one day and put it on a soaping website. The first thing somebody says is, concrete is not like soap. Well, yes it is. It's like soap. It does the same thing. Let me read this to you. Surface tension is in the skin on the outside of water, and it's a chemical makeup that is not fully understood, but it not only allows bugs to walk on the water, but it also allows water to absorb just about anything, including the Titanic, and is the basis of emulsion. You've got to understand emulsion, and the stick blender comes very handy in emulsion. Without the correct emulsion, you're going to get soda ash. You're going to get soda ash. Alright, well anyway, surface tension can also be thought of this way. The water that washes up on the shore of a beach wets the sand below it. It absorbed the sand. The water absorbed the sand. The sand did not absorb the water. If you were to pick up the sand in your hand and hold loosely in your fingers, you will not lose any water. That is only because the individual particles of sand has not broken the surface tension of the water. That's right. The sand did not absorb the water. The water absorbed the sand. The water has encapsulated the sand inside and has absorbed it. Pouring your beer that you're drinking on the beach on the sand will only result in wasted beer because that sand and water is already at perfect absorption or emulsion. There's no more room for anything else, which results in stranded liquid. That stranded liquid is important. Evaporation will have to occur before loss of water is expected. Water will even absorb rock. Picking up a rock after a good rain may feel dry to your hand, but if you were to heat that rock and weigh it, it would weigh less because the water that had encased the rock is now evaporated. Excuse me, I got to take something to drink. Water absorbs just about anything, including natural poisons found inside the earth, and has to be treated for safe drinking, so you would think that if you were to drink distilled water, it would be safe. Not quite true. Water not only exchanges minerals with your body, it will also take minerals from your body. If distilled water is continuously drank, it will actually make you sick, and allow for disease. Emulsion involves liquid, any liquid. Emulsion is water's ability to absorb, and it can be anything including solids, and yes, even cement, sand, and rock. When an emulsion occurs to create an exothermic reaction with certain things, it releases energy in the form of what we feel as heat. That exothermic reaction is what your soap does as it's heating up. And it will also always come from the center of an object. When that form of energy is inside a liquid, it acts as a wave, which is important to know for soaping. A pile of leaves, when combined or stirred, can and will create an exothermic reaction and cause a fire. We then use water's ability to absorb those combinations of gases to put the fire out. See, water absorbs everything. We don't absorb water. Water absorbs us. When it concerns emulsion, in the case of soaping, not everything may be encapsulated inside the surface tension of water. That is loose water. And we're comparing it to cement here. Let me show you a picture. See all this shiny stuff right here? That's loose water. All this loose water. This is from them spraying water on top, or it's just not blended well enough, or stick blended in the case of soap. It's the same exact thing. When this concrete heats up, and it will heat up, or it did heat up, this loose water is going to turn into salt, or sodium ash, or soda ash, or whatever they call it. It's going to turn into soda ash. And guess what else is going to happen? Let me show you something. This is what's going to happen. See that? All this turned ashy. This is regular cement. This turned ashy, and the top part of this chipped off. It's from too much water. Too much water. Let me say that again. Too much water. One more time. Too much water. See all that water? After this, they're going to take this trowel or whatever they do and smooth it out. But if it's not taken care of, it's going to mess up. This is how it compares to soap. That's another subject. That's another subject. Here we go right here. This is soap I just made recently. It's got soda ash on it. That's happened to me very few times because I don't use very much water. But in this particular incident, I wanted a solid black soap with what I use something called Magic Red. I have no idea why it's called Magic Red, but it's a cherry flavored soap, and I wanted red in the black. I know, it's crazy. But while I was stirring it, I didn't recognize correct emulsion because it was solid black. I couldn't tell, and I messed up a little bit. And I went ahead and poured it, and then I poured the red, what I thought was red in there, Magic Red. So you can't tell in this picture, but you know, I didn't stick blend it enough. So that loose water, which was this, you don't exactly see it in the soap batter, but it is the same thing. It created this. Now I have to shave it. Let me zoom in a little bit. Now I have to shave it. I've shaved a few bars, and it comes out decent. But you waste a lot of soap. See how it's not smooth. There's no gleam off the soap. If you touch it with your fingers, it feels powdery. You know, it's good soap once I shave this stuff off. But I do feel a difference. Even when I have shaved the bars off, I do feel a difference. But that is because of super fatting and slightly more water, but mainly because of stick blending. It's not just the excess water. The more excess water you have, the more you have to stick blend to create an emulsion. If you have loose water, which has not emulsified in your batter, you're going to get soda ash. You're going to get soda ash. To lessen the probability of getting soda ash, lessen your water. But then you have these other problems, and I know people are going to say comments, lessen your water, then you don't have much time to work. Well, I beg to differ, because this is what happens when you add more water. When you add more water, the lye has more freedom to move about your oil. Water is a carrier to your soap. I mean, water is not a carrier to your soap. Water is a carrier for your lye. The easier it is for your lye to move around and get in contact with more oils, the probability of your soap tracing even quicker is greater. You have a greater probability. Now I'm going to say that again. You have a greater probability of your soap tracing quicker with more water. So as a result, you have to add even more water, a lot more water, 2.5 times more water. Really? Then when you add all that water, if you don't stick blend enough, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get the soda ash. Then you're going to wind up having to cut a lot of it off. And believe me, these steaming theories do not work. The steaming theories don't, you put steam to soda ash, wrong answer. Steam is more water. It doesn't work. Just yesterday I took a blowtorch to the soap, a small blowtorch. It didn't do a thing to that soda ash. Nothing. It softened the soap up a little bit so I can shave it off. That's about it. So, if you want to deal with the probability of soda ash, go ahead, add lots of water to your soap, then you're going to have a smaller bar. Alrighty. Let me show you something else. Or if you're still with me, I hope you're still with me, and I hope, let me do this. Go back up. Oh, yeah. Here goes the bar. Very interesting. I just made this a few days ago. I haven't shaved it or anything. I haven't done nothing to it. There's a great deal to talk about this soap. Like I said earlier when you first started watching, I tend to concentrate on the quality and how long it's going to last. I'm a terrible designer, but I do know how to move the furniture. Alright. Firstly, you see that shininess? That's reflective of how smooth it is. All I did was just cut this bar. It come out like this. That's it, period. See, I haven't even gotten rid of that yet. That is not soda ash. That's just me cutting it. That's just regular soap. I haven't done nothing to this. This is the way it came out. Bam! It's very smooth along these sides. Nice, smooth, sharp edges. I love it. It's not fancy. It's a what? This is one of the bars that I showed you earlier when I said it was 5.6 ounces. This right here, this area right here, you see this? I was experimenting. This area right here, I added more water. This right here is 1.1 times the lye. This right here is 1.7 times the lye. I added more water to this portion right here. You see the difference? It's got a slightly different color. They want to call it ghosting. I made this soap blue. I didn't have to make this soap blue. But I thought it'd be interesting if I was going to turn the soap blue and I'd still try to make some ghosting. This area, maybe I might not have captured it so well in the picture, but this area has a different amount of water, so it's slightly different color. Notice the ridges around it. It's from the temperature change. That is just because of the temperature change right there. If I didn't put 1.7 times the water in this area right here, this whole thing would be this smooth. This whole thing, whole entire thing would be just like this. Very smooth, very hard. This soap right here is only 4 days old. 4 or 5 days old, I can't remember. But I can already take a bath with it if I wanted to. It's very nice bar soap. I only used 1.1 times the amount of lye, which was, if I remember right, I don't know, let me see. Let me see, what was it? I only added 14 grams of extra water to it. Yeah, 14 grams of extra water. The water-lye ratio is 52 and 47. It's 476 parts per thousand, if you notice. 476. That is almost as much soap as you're going to get in a bar. This bar of soap is going to last a long time. I've had bars of soap last 3 months. 8 weeks is, if somebody says their bar lasts 8 weeks, they're using a lot of water. 8 weeks is nothing. Nothing. I mean, I have a whole soap tray full of soap I've been using for, I know, 2 years. I don't always put 1.1 times the amount of water in there. The most I've gone up is 1.4, maybe 1.5. But, however, when I first started out making soap, I want to show you something else. This bar right here. This bar is like 2 or 3 years old. See all the soda ash? Loose water. In fact, it's more than loose water. I stick blended enough because, as you can see by these crazy ass stripes, it was kind of hardening up and it thickened up on me. So, and you can tell by the top. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Yep, you could tell by the top. By the time I got to that part, I really couldn't do a whole lot with it. So I did stick blend it enough, but I just had too much water, and it was either like 2 times more water or 2.5 more times water. That right there is still soda ash. Still soda ash. And I want to show you something else. Let me show you something else. Oh, wait a minute, I'm pressing the wrong button. I want to show you something that's more evident in another picture I have. Nope, not that one, not that one. Oh, that's a black cherry soap. Wait a minute, I'm trying. That's not it, that's not it. Terrible, terrible. Get back to where you belong. Yeah, where's it at? Where's it at? Yeah, this one right here. See how much it shrank? That soap shrank. It's like 2 or 3 years old, and it shrank. This bar actually weighs more than this one. If I remember correctly, I only used the 50-50 water-lye ratio on there, on this one. See how smooth and straight it is? Very smooth and straight. No soda ash whatsoever. And you see how liquidy it is? I stick blended it well enough on this one and poured it in time to create this swirl looking thing. See, I haven't even shaved this bar or anything. See how smooth and straight it is? This is nothing but solid soap. Solid! Solid, I tell you. And that's good soap too. That's going to last a while. This bar right here is only, I can't remember, 3.8. Let me look at my notes. Weight loss, weight loss. This bar right here is a lavender tea tree. This bar only weighs 85 grams. Yeah. In fact, it's slightly more than this one. And I made that one to be almost, what was it, 4.5, 5 ounces? And it's done lost a little over an ounce. And look, it still has the excess water on it. The excess water turned into soda ash. This has nothing on it. Nothing. Anyway, let me get back to my thing. Oh yeah. I want to reiterate that I learned all this by not using a lye calculator. Lye calculators are good to be at the start, but they tell you nothing. How much does it... let me give you another example. Saponification value down here. Alright, let's try to... oh, I can't type a number in there. Wow, I cannot type a number in there. I can't change the saponification value, and this particular one doesn't have Abyssinian oil. How do I add Abyssinian oil in there? I can't seem to... you know, the creators of this website, they can make it so where you can add another oil in there. They can make it to where you can change the saponification value, because not all of them are the same. For instance, shea butter. Shea butter right here has a saponification of 0.128. And while we're on it, let's see what shea butter is for our soap count. Shea butter, shea butter, shea butter. Shea butter, shea butter. See what they say. It's probably, since it's the same programmers, yeah, 1.128. But guess what, folks? Shea butter comes in different saponification values. You can't change the saponification value on these websites because they're controlling what you do. Just like a soap making forum, they control what you do and say. Let me remind you again, if these people do not, they will ban you, folks. They will ban you for teaching the right thing. If you're learning to make soap, and I'm going to say it again, there's no such thing as a water discount. What are you discounting water from? The only certainty is 50-50 water lye ratio. That's it. That's the bottom line, 50-50. After that, you're adding water. You're adding. I'll say it again, you're adding water. The more water you add, the more you have to be sure it's stick blended, because of the greater probability of getting soda ash. You heard that right. I'm not talking too loud, am I? Alright, they will ban you for saying these things. They will threaten you and shut you down. They will shut you down, especially if they are FBI investigators who like to flash their badge. And I'm going to say it again. Go somewhere where they don't judge what you say. If you try to teach the right thing or say the right thing, you know, they can have all the education. There's a lot of smart people and a lot of good advice on there. A lot of good advice. A lot of good advice on here. I miss the website. It's a whole community. It's a livelihood. But they want to control what you say, because if you don't say it right, they threaten you and shut you down. And if you look at what you might get if you have a lot of water. Okay? Listen to me. If you want a quality bar soap, lessen your hard oils even more than what they say. Raise your conditioning values and stick blend it. Stick blend it. There's a couple of videos that shows you how to check for proper emulsion. Find them and look them up. Alright, let's get back to what I was reading. Look at that beautiful soap. I love that soap. That's great soap. Great soap. That's great soap too. Wait a minute, I'm pressing the wrong button. Okay. Let's go over here. Alright, where was I at? Yeah. When it concerns emulsion, in the case of soaping, not everything may be encapsulated inside the surface tension of water. Those may be called loose strands of water or excess water. Excess water can be caused by not blending enough. The water's absorption properties are already full, and there's no more room. That's my unscientific method of encapsulation or emulsion or whatever. And even the soft oil's ability to resist emulsification can be a factor. Let me give you an example of that. Olive oil resists emulsification. You have to stick blend the crap out of it. And for those of you that says I used olive oil and it didn't take me very long, well, you probably used olive oil combined with another oil. It probably was not straight up olive oil. Alright, well anyway. Harder oils emulsify quicker and create more energy because its molecules are not as freely moving. They stay in place and vibrate side to side, which creates a hotter heat. Let me reiterate that. Less water creates hotter heat. Less water creates hotter heat for a shorter period of time. You can also say at this point that adding heat, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Where am I at? You can also say at this point that adding less water restricts the molecules to movement, and therefore you get a hotter heat with your soap. Less water equals more heat. Higher water equals less heat but longer lasting. In other words, the heat's going to stay around longer. Water not only cools, but it also maintains heat as it slowly evaporates. That's right. Did you know water, as it steams, is a cooling process? It's not a heating process. It's a cooling process. And that goes for the same thing as evaporation. Evaporation is the act of cooling. Alright, getting back to those loose strands of water. At this point in your soap batter, the thicker density of water that has absorption in it will push the thinner water to the outside and will always be on the outside even when you pour it. That's why the soda ash is on the outside, because it's thinner. During the evaporation process, its hotter neighbor, the absorbed water, will transfer heat to its cooler neighbor, the stranding water. That's the reason for the ridges, and will actually evaporate quicker, which can leave behind any residue that it had in it. That would be the soda ash that we see and is the result of too much water or water that was not blended or emulsified, which is the same thing. So yes, too much water can lead to too much soda ash. However, on the other side of the coin, gelling needs to be considered too. There are different rates of melting points in low water and higher water densities. Low water ratios have a higher melting point, especially when harder butters are used, and higher water has a lower melting point. In other words, the higher the heat, the quicker the saponification process, the quicker to unmold. Gelling has nothing to do with quick unmolding. It has everything to do with the melting point and color phases. You may be able to unmold quick by using additives, for example, but those two are not synonymous with each other. It's the extreme heat, gelled or not gelled, or even extreme cold, that allows for quick unmolding. Adding this up equates to longer gelling can equal soda ash as a result of more water because of an increased chance of loose water. So that heat that's around, the longer it's hot, all that loose water on top, it creates the soda ash or the salt. Less water decreases the chance of soda ash, but increases higher heat and decreases the soap batter's ability for a long-lasting gel. So time is the key. Time, if you want gel, you need time. You want more time. More time. So, exothermic reactions And I'm going to label soap as having an exothermic reaction. It's the same thing as concrete. It does the exact same thing. In fact, in soap, it is called a trace. You know what a trace is? When it's slightly thickened, you can raise your spoon up and pour out the soap batter and you see a trail. Well, in soap, that's a trace. But in concrete, it's called a slump. Same thing, same exact thing. In fact, I like to talk about soap having a slump rather than a trace. But actually, if you're pouring and it does leave a trace, well, then I guess it's a trace. So, exothermic reaction. When energy is released in the form of heat, it's called an exothermic reaction. Fire is an example of an exothermic reaction, which has occurred from an emulsion of fuels. It also is in the form of oils mixing with lye water. The freedom of molecules to move about produces a lower heat than the restriction of molecules with less water. So, yeah, I never did get to finish because you see down here it says, and finally how temperature change relates to partial gel. At this point, I was finding someone was informing me that I was being banned. So I never got around to finishing it because I was going to talk about, and finally, how temperature change relates to partial gel, which is very interesting. But all this is from working with this. This tells me everything, how and why. This is how I gathered all my information. I figured it out, and then I would look it up and then mix everything together. This is what I came up with. So, this is what you get if you want to use a lot of water. See that soda ash? But I've got to stress, there's a lot of good soap makers out there. They probably do use a lot of water, but I guarantee you they stick blend it. They blend it, they blend it, they blend it. So they don't have any loose water. So when you hear a person say less water doesn't get soda ash, I would have to add to that you have to stick blend it. If you add more water, you have to stick blend it. Otherwise, you will get soda ash and you will get loose strands of water and you will get the varying amounts of smoothness. Anyway, hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope that one day you can make your own one of these. Learn how to do it. You learn quite a bit about your soap. If you would like to, oh yeah, getting back to the shea butter. I never did. Oh yeah, I'm seeing it right now. Okay, see how it was 1.128 earlier? I said you could not change it. I want to show you something. I forgot all about it. Alright, see how it's taken 141 grams of water? What happens if your shea butter is this? Watch the 141. Bam. Now all of a sudden it's 142. It's not a big deal, but it actually affects your superfatting that you're trying to create, which I also highly disagree with. And I plan on making a video about that too. I don't know if people want to see it, but you can't change the saponification value of some of these things. That's why I disagree. Because the programmers can make it so where you can change the saponification value. I know how to do it. I'm telling you, they can do it. Alright. Anyway, that's enough. And thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something. Till next time. Bye.